name is Fernanda Vega, and for today's class, we're going to have a little bit of pronunciation class regarding the ed endings of the regular verbs in past. When we're talking about simple past, students tend to have this way a little bit accurate in for them to speak properly. Talking about pronunciation, we don't usually focus on the accent or the intonation that they use. Mostly we want for them to be appropriate in the language in order for them to be understandable, right? So hopefully this class can help them to identify the 3D endings and their and also where they can use it regarding on which verb they're going to be using, right? So I'm gonna share my screen so you can have you can see, sorry, the little presentation that I prepared. So it's there. All right. So this pronunciation, sorry, this class is called How It Is Pronounced, and it's a continuous acceptable for you to teach this kind of classes once you have actually teach whatever you have to teach regarding simple past, the function, the forms, and all of that. So this class can complement that one in order to only focus on pronunciation, also give them time to practice their pronunciations. So in order to start this class, I do have a little story about Spider-Man's birthday, where students are going to read it and internalize everything that has to do with the story, and also identify the regular verbs in past that this story has. Sorry. Right here you can see it, and also they can help them, to start focusing on those specific verbs, the ed endings, how they're supposed to pronounce them, and also to see what they are the struggles at the beginning of the class. Okay, so the end appears in different words, right, such as in subjects. It can be in adjectives as well, but we're going to only focusing on the verbs. All right. However, the non-native speakers, mostly in Spanish, because we have 3 different ways in order to pronounce the ed, right? It can be. Why is that complicated to Spanish speakers? As I understand, and also when I was learning English, one of the difficulties that gathered this kind of pronunciation was the way we play in order to pronounce. And when we say things like dedo or tomate, we put the tongue between their teeth, right? Like an interdental. But in English, in order to this kind of way to say, like, I don't know, tomato and dog, right? That and do we put it into the tongue, we put it behind our upper teeth. So maybe that could be a sound of confusion, and also they could be difficult for a Spanish speaker to pronounce this kind of way. So class can help to have a very understand these 3 phonemes, and also it's easier for them to pronounce them, right? So when we're talking about pronunciation, it's very important to establish and understand what voice and voiceless for teaching and learning, because once you gather this, it's easier for you to complement all of the phonemes when you are learning it, right? So when we're talking about voice sound, it means that your vocal cords is moving regarding you making that noise. So for example, if you say the letter oo and you touch your throat, it makes like oh, you can feel a little vibration right there. So that means that the oh is a voice sound because your vocal cords are moving, right? Then means that you don't use your vocal cords whatsoever in order to produce, right? And you touch your throat, it's not gonna move because that sound doesn't need vocal cords in order to be pronounced. All right. So remember, voiced is when your vocal cords is moving, and voiceless is when they're not moved at all. All right. So coming back to pronunciation of ed in regular verbs past, remember we have three different kind of sounds. We have the, we have t, and we have et. Sorry, et. All right. So why important the voice and voiceless sounds? Because that can help you identify which of the three phonemes are going to be the ones that you have to pronounce. So the first one that we have is the, and this is the easiest because this one doesn't really focus on phonemes. They focus on the last letter that is on the verb. So if you have the verb-based form like wait, need, want, invite, start, and you notice there's a pattern because all of them finish with the letter T or D, T or D, depending on, right? So if the verb that you're using ends with the letter D or T, as in wait, need, want, start, and invite, once you have to say into a past verb, then you have to say the whole thing. Waited, right? Needed, wanted, invited, right? You add the another syllable in order to pronounce the ed sound. Instead of wait, waited, needed, wanted. You know, it's divided into another syllable in order for you to pronounce the specific sound. Make sense? Then we have the sound, right? The sound, if you touch your throat, is a voice sound, right? The, because you can feel it that it's kind of moving something in there. So if it moves, it means that your verbs are going to have that specific sound. But how you notice? In these kind of verbs, you have your base verb like call, rain, live, rub. The last letter, you notice in here, right? And if you try to pronounce that letter, it vibrates. So, oh, remember the E is silent, so the last letter will be B. So it's V, B, E. You noticed? So those are voiced sounds, which means that they have to, you use your vocal cords in order to pronounce it, right? So when you're using or have this kind of verbs, the verb pass, the past verb of these verbs are going to be with the sound. So it's going to be rained. You don't pronounce the E, it's only the D. Rained, lived, right? Robbed, stayed, cleaned, right? So in this one, we don't add another syllable. We just complement the one that we have, all right? And remember, if it is voice, and then it's going to be the called, rained, lived, all right? The last sound is going to be t, right? And for this one, it's going to have the verb-based form. The last letter of it is going to be a voiceless sound, which means if you pronounce this sounds, it's going to be k, p, ch. You notice? It doesn't vibrate. So when you're changing it into a past verb, it's going to be talked, talked. So this whole thing changes into a t, talked, stopped, watched, kissed, mixed, fixed, right? And again, we don't create an extra syllable as in talk it, for example, because if you say that, people can misunderstand that you're saying something like the verb talk, but you use the object it, talk it, instead of saying talked, right? So people can understand whenever you do this. That's very important that you practice this sound so people don't misunderstand whatever you are referring to a past verb or using this kind of object. Does it make sense? So don't we have three important rules for you to remember these specific sounds. So for voiceless sound, which means we don't use our vocal cords, we used like looked, pushed, asked, helped, right? If we have voice sounds, right, we're going to use the filled, enjoyed, roamed, believed, joshed, all right? And if the verb ends either with a D or with a T, then we have to add the whole thing. Needed, waited, all right? So in order for you to practice a little bit more of these phonemes, I have this exercise right here. In pairs or in teams of 3, you're going to change these verbs into past. Obviously, they're regular verbs, so you only have to add the ed to them, all right? Once you finish that, you're going to put them into the column that you think that verb is pronounced, all right? So in this one, we have rest. So it is rested with ed, is in past. So rested is pronounced with an ed sound, so it's going to be in this column right here, right? So you're going to put all of these verbs in the according to your team, so you choose which column according to the pronunciation that they have, okay? Also, this one is a very important, it's a very good activity for them. This one is gonna be the first activity for the students to gather the differences between all of them, and also they can have a collaborative work when they have to choose in which of the columns they're going to be placed the verbs, all right? The next activity is a pronunciation worksheet. In this one, it's obviously a worksheet. This one is only a little piece of it just to see the examples of it. Each students are going to walk around the classroom in order to ask these specific verbs. So for example, I'm a student and I'm going to ask Caesar, how do you say dish in past? And Caesar is going to say, all right, you can say dish it, all right? So like that, students can pronounce saying the words, all right, with the corresponding ed endings. And the student that asks is going to see like the listening one, right? So which one did I hear? Right, so it's going to be, all right, last one, all right? Maybe it's wrong, maybe it's right, but that's the one that you hear. And then it's going to go to another student. I don't know, Andrea, how do you say like in past? Oh, you say liked, liked. Do I hear, or do I hear the, or do I hear a ed, a it sound, sorry? So students are going to choose which one do they hear in order to place it right here. So they're going to pass around to a different classmate in each round for them to fill out all the worksheet, and like that they can develop a very comprehensive of their skills, either listening, obviously hearing the phoneme that their students are using, and when saying the phoneme whenever you have to say the word in past, right? So also this pronunciation worksheet is a very good activity for them to practice those skills and actually to still practice the ed endings of these regular verbs in past, all right? So that will be the end of the little class that we have regarding pronunciation. And for a little metacognitive activity, I'm going to ask the students what will they remember about today's class. And hopefully they remember the whole thing. They don't forget the differences between the three ed pronunciations regarding regular verbs in past, and also they can still practice them outside the classroom when they have to be focusing or talking in past most of the time. So thank you so much for watching my class. My name is Fernanda Vega. Have a very good day.